So, I work at fast food, and my manager gave me a bunch of buffalo sauce the other day, and I made the stupid mistake of throwing it in my backpack. So now my notebook forever smells like buffalo sauce. Welcome back to another video of LEF actually attempts to be consistent with her YouTube uploading schedule, which is like what I say every video. But this time, boys, I've got a lot of videos currently being edited, which is insane. I have a whole list right here that I can't show because that means I actually have to make a commitment to those videos, and we're not doing that yet. But welcome to one of my few sit-down plan videos, which I've been meaning to make for years, but I haven't done it yet. Mistakes I made as a teen author, which is a lot. And I've really just narrowed them down to 3 things for this one video, because if I was going to go into every little tiny mistake I made, it would just be really boring and probably degrading and discouraging, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to encourage people and also warn people, because when you're 16, there are definitely lots of things you don't know. I'm sorry to disappoint all you 16-year-old authors out there, but you don't know everything. I know, it's startling, shocking to me too. So for those who don't know, I published, this is the old version of it, my first book in December 12th, 2021, The Unanswered Questions. And I just got a Discord notification. I'm really tempted to look, but I'm not going to. It's the first book of a series, and they're all in the other room, so I should probably grab those. You can look at them on the screen. But it's the first in a YA science fantasy series, and I feel like I took on a big thing for being my debut novel. The beginning of the release was probably one of the most stressful parts of my entire life. I was in my junior year of high school. COVID was just running rampant, and I was trying to start a book series. So no matter what, even if 10 years from now, somebody's gonna have to read my 15-year-old writing to read the rest of my series. Even if my last book is absolutely amazing, the first book is still the one that people have to start with. So that was a lot of pressure on my younger self, and I think that really got to me. I'll touch more on that later. My first technical mistake I made was not hiring a formatter. I used to watch a lot of AuthorTube, which has its ups and downs. The very great advice given out was, you don't need a formatter, you can do that on Microsoft Word, which is true. You can do it on Microsoft Word. You can even do it on Google Docs if that's your thing. But what if it's not your thing? It's actually not usually people's thing. It's not. It's very hard. This took me almost a month just to create a basic setup like this. It was terrible. Microsoft Word is I don't like Microsoft Word for one thing, but you can't do a lot. I'm not experienced in Microsoft Word. I was a teenager and I was trying to get a book out in 2 months, and I didn't realize this was just people saying to use Microsoft Word were much more experienced in Microsoft than I was, and so it was probably a lot easier for them. But for me, I did not mean to spend an entire month putting my book together. I thought it'd be a few day process. I didn't think I'd be crying when KDP just kept messing up my pages because the Microsoft Word document just kept uploading wrong. It was the worst. And my book came out and the formatting was awful. This book is 128,000 words long, and it's this big. It's a crime to humanity. I'm gonna go grab the other one so I can show you how much it improved when I hired a new formatter. This is my formatted version, and this is the actual formatter's version. There's a bit of a difference in the size, a big difference, but basically the entire process was super stressful, and the font was really tiny, and because I formatted it myself, I did not want to attempt to change it. It got to the point where a lot of people were pointing out lots of typos, which is gonna be my second mistake. I didn't want to go through and try to edit it myself, because again, I just had a terrible experience with Microsoft Word and absolutely dreaded it. So my dad made the offer, because the font was so small and literally no adult with bad eyesight could read it. He said, I will literally pay for the formatting if you get it reformatted. And I took up an offer. I took up that offer. I like to make it my thing that I've paid for absolutely everything I've done online, but that's the one thing I allowed to be done for me. But I ended up hiring Benita Prince. I forgot what her new last name is. Anyway, from Carios Design. I don't remember exactly how to pronounce it, but it was amazing. Literally, the formatting in this book is gorgeous. I didn't have to do anything, and it was so much less stressful. And now I see why people go into formatting as a job career and why I just support formatters. If you're not comfortable formatting, don't try and go all in on it by yourself, because it's very stressful. It might look bad. Your book's going to be a terrible size and not going to reflect your writing well at all. And it's just going to be a hassle to change. So having a formatter really helps me out a lot. And also, I just think my book looks so much more professional. And
Editing LDF here. I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer that authors who have formatted their own books can do an absolutely amazing job and have done it in the past. I just was not one of those authors. So really the true message here is know thyself because some people can do it and others cannot.
my second mistake was just my whole editor mess. I don't like to talk a lot about my editor mess because I don't really want to throw anyone under the rug for anything that really went wrong with the editing process. My book was very long and it probably had thousands of errors that needed to be corrected grammatically and structurally. So I always joke that editors tremble whenever I reach out to them. No one wants to edit my books. They're so long. That's not true. I have a lot of amazing editors that I've worked with. But basically with my first book, I only went with one editor and I didn't have a proofreader at all. And for those who have been following me for a long time, especially on Instagram, they know that the first book, this book, which I like to call like the typo copy, had hundreds of errors in it, like absolutely ridiculous errors. There's even a line in here that is not even canon, like it was referring to something in an old draft that I had deleted and make no sense out of context. And it was a hot mess. And as soon as I saw that line, I was like, you know what, I need to get this done. Anyway, I realized that I also hired an editor from a different country, which meant that a lot of the things grammatically are kind of different because my book is not published in the US. Like in Australia, when you allegedly, this is what my editor was telling me, my second one, was that when you write Mrs. in Australia, they don't have the period afterward. And so that's what my Australian editor told me, and so I removed all the periods, and that was just like a small mistake. But that was interesting. That was something I learned. Make sure you're hiring an editor who is aware of where you're publishing your books. And so basically there was just a lot of errors in the book, and I ended up having to go with another editor to redo the book after the book had been out for like 3 months. I went with Angela R. Watts. She's like a fellow author. She's amazing. And she just fixed a lot of stuff. There was
Another disclaimer to say again that this is not blaming anything on any of my editors I've ever hired before. This is probably entirely my fault. There's a reason why there's multiple rounds of edits and why you should get a proofreader before you publish your book. I don't know why the unanswered questions had so many typos in it. It's a long book, so I think there's probably a lot more I should have done before I hit send. But yeah, again, no hate to the original editor. She was amazing. She was great to work with. I think I just should have hired a proofreader.
hundreds of things that needed to be fixed. And while I still hear all the time that they're like an error here, like a spelling mistake, it is so much better. And I don't think my books will ever be completely typo free. They're just way too long for that. And maybe it would take an entire team of editors to try. But that was definitely my mistake. I didn't really research editing. I just thought, well, basically the only advice I was given was, well, the more expensive the editor, that means like the more experienced they probably are, which is not true at all. My current editor is Michaela Bush, and I think her prices are like some of the budget prices that I've seen in there. She's amazing, and I had like very little problems at all in the second book. I had no problems at all, but there are like still things that I was like, oh, I should have gotten a proofreader. But I'm not blaming her at all for them because she did an incredible job, and I just don't think the price really reflects the editor's work ethic. So yeah, I have a lot of recommended editors because I've worked with a lot of them because my books require a lot of stuff. But yeah, Michaela is awesome. Ariana, my friend Ariana Tosato, is amazing. Angela R. Watts is amazing. And Carolyn Lenaberg, I don't know how to say her last name, is incredible. She did my friend's book, and yes, just do your research and also talk to other authors. I didn't have a lot of author friends when I was doing the editing process, so I couldn't really get like recommendations from anyone. So that was pretty helpful to me now to be able to recommend authors to people. So yeah, I left on my camera because I've had this thing for years. But my final mistake, I would say, is that I stressed a little bit too much. Overall, I would say my publishing experience with the unanswered questions went way smoother than most people's goes, especially with Of the Curatrix Code was probably like too easy. But I think I stressed way too much. I remember crying, I remember freaking out when it wasn't showing up on Amazon, and I remember just like DMing people, and I was like, this is all gonna go terribly wrong, and my book's gonna suck, and everyone's gonna hate it. And I didn't really get to fully live the moment of it. You just published a freaking book and you're still in high school. You're not even a senior in high school. You are literally a junior, which I think is still pretty cool. Any teen author who is able to accomplish that, like, congrats to you, because I know from personal experience that is really hard. Even to just write a full book in high school is just insane. And to publish it, that's even more incredible. That sounds like I'm bragging about myself, but I'm not. So in conclusion, I always tell this to people when they ask, what's your biggest piece of writing advice? It's have fun. Especially when you're a teenager. You're a teenager. You've got everything ahead of you. So just have fun. Don't stress so much. Your entire life is not over if you make a minor publishing mistake. If your book isn't uploaded to Amazon on time, that's Amazon's fault. Amazon is the worst. But if I say that out loud, Jeff Bezos might come for me. Have fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. I don't know if I'll even be doing this a lot. I really like the get up and do stuff kind of things. But I just know this is a topic that people wanted to hear about. So here's my 2 cents and my rambles. So I hope you will stick around, hit that subscribe button because we do have a lot of content planned. And let's see if I actually post in the next 2 weeks, okay? Wish me luck.